How Bizarre is intended for mature, open-minded audiences only. If you are easily offended, we suggest you turn this wacky shit straight off.
Anything good going on?
No, I don't believe there is much things
Oh
going on.
goddamn!
Actually, I got something good. I'm going to
Let's hear it,
Mexico.
let's hear it.
I'm going on a little vacation next
I
month.
saw
Very
that
nice.
you
You know
got a
where you're going?
passport, and I was curious where you're going.
Yeah, I'm going to Cancun
Oh, there you go.
for 5 days. I've never been, and
I would suggest stay in the places that all the tourists are.
yeah, I don't fuck around, man. My sweet ass would be in Mexican prison so fast. If
Don't
I
be
would
buying
end up-
weed down there, Chris.
Oh,
all right?
I trust me. No,
You
it
have to
ain't
come up
happening.
there. You just no, senor, no.
I'd never come back. They'd fucking find a way to lock me up.
You know
Oh,
what's
dude,
funny
I
is
would-
even Mexicans talk this way
scares
about
me.
Mexico.
it's
They're
true.
like,
I don't know if they're fucking with us, but
no,
it,
you know-
it seems pretty legit
Why
when
they're
you
all
hear them
here,
talking
too.
about Mexico. It's like, yeah, all right, yeah, well, you want to go there? Interesting. Not there? Okay. Good luck, motherfucker.
Yeah, there's sketchy spots you don't want to be in. That's for sure.
Well, what made you decide on Mexico, Chris?
the girl I'm seeing, Amber, wanted to go. She's like, "You want to go to fucking Cabo or Cancun?" I was like, "I've never been to either." So we found this resort that's like all inclusive, but not
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
too crazy.
Well,
But-
my question is, are you going to be by the beach,
Yeah.
by the ocean,
Mm-hmm.
by some
I know.
fishes?
I didn't say in the ocean, though.
Well, I'm proud of you. I mean, it's a step.
Oh,
I'll go
see.
wade in
Just
there.
on the
see where
beach,
it goes.
baby. I'm proud of
I like being in the water. I just don't like to think about what's down there.
Well, Chris lives
Oh, no,
closer
for
to the ocean than we do, so technically he's facing
I
his
can
fears.
look at it right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling you, you know what? Your fear has actually got me fear.
Good. I'm scared of
Yeah.
dolls now too. We must be just jerking each other off about this.
I
Lau.
think so. I think so. We need to like cup each other, and hold each other tight, and get through this awful world we live
But
in.
you're kind of doing some sort of fear spooning.
Well, I'm
Just think
telling you,
about it. Yeah.
there's some shows I'll watch, and dude, I got a boat, and even in the Columbia, I start seeing those. Watch that river monster shit,
Yark.
Yeah.
and I think about like fucking like, you know what? It's not even fish anymore. I think it's more like amphibious life forms that could live underwater that we don't know about. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like
Columbia is
just,
a pretty
creepy.
big fucking river. It's deep, it's cold, it's dark. It's kind of scary.
And this creepy shit. I'm not gonna lie, there's creepy shit. If you ever go to the dam, and
Big
either one, well,
eels.
I don't even know if the dams even offer tours in them anymore since 9/11. But
They do, but they redid it all. It's not nearly as cool. Remember when it used to be all cool in like mid-century? Like it looked like
super
some
cool.
fucking James Bond lair or something.
oh, dude, it was so awesome. They
They
had like
redid all
Jacob
that.
ladders, and they had little crank wheels you could crank up the Jacob ladder. You could watch the electricity form. And it was
What?
like, it was like
Yeah,
like 10 foot
It's
tall.
pretty rad. They might still have some of that stuff,
awesome.
but now it's mostly computers and shit. One thing cool that they upgraded. You remember that big old ship's wheel that you kind of stood on a bow, and it looked like over this curved black and white, beautiful photo of the Columbia River, and it was supposed to illustrate what it was like, because before the bridges there was a ferry to get you back and forth. Even long after the bridge, the first bridge, that ferry ran. And I always remember thinking, wouldn't it be cool if you could actually stand here and then just kind of like sail around and it would move? Well, they updated it now, and that you can't do that. It's just a little virtual screen.
Moves now.
But it's
Well,
like,
what my favorite thing was, and it was very odd because it wasn't very translucent, I guess. But they had at the very bottom of the dam, they had glass, and you could see the fish down at the bottom of the river. You know, basically the bottom of the dam.
Chris's
and so you would
nightmare,
see
really.
these giant salmon when they're going, or you could see them go up the fish ladder. But I mean, God, you'd have to just work there or something, and then just see some kind of creepy fucking thing coming out of there. I bet.
Well, they show you. They
You know
got a
what I mean?
guide on the wall of all the things that you could see there. And I remember seeing those eels, and I'm like, I've never seen one of those
yes.
fucking eels go swimming through, and I'm glad. And then one time I was out there, I saw an eel. It wasn't huge, you know, it wasn't like fucking Princess Bride or anything, but it was a pretty big fucking eel. I don't even know if they're technically eels, but they're something that looks like that.
Freshwater eels.
Yeah, I think it is an eel. But the freaky ones are the goddamn sturgeons, because those get huge.
They're dinosaurs, man. They really are.
Even with all the dams that we have here, and like Lyle said, most of them have fish ladders. That was kind of part of the treaty agreements with some of these tribes that we, of course, straight up fucked over by building these dams and ruined their habitat and their fucking life. And we really kind of got bedazzled by the idea of electricity, which is understandable, and not just for making light and making things easy, but I mean it revolutionized everything. Electricity. It's hard to comprehend it now, but yeah, they do have these fish ladders, and that's what these windows are. If you've ever been to like a mermaid bar and they got like windows that look into the pool, this is like looking into the deep water and seeing all the whatever goes sliding through the fish ladders to let them safely pass.
Or past the glass.
And spawn.
And that's and you can see about 20 feet, about that, but it's pretty murky. And then,
I think they tried to clean that up and maybe get some lights. I heard that was part of their remodel plan. I haven't been out there to go through everything. I had dropped some stuff off there for the Comet quite a few years back.
I was going to say, it'd be good for the Comet just to do a little article maybe.
Well, you remember all those... So there was that big wing that when you'd walk over the dam, which felt like walking over a bridge, and then you'd get to like the museum part. Yeah. It was a separate little building from it's all connected, of course, but it was on the other side of the river. And you would walk over to the left, and that would take you to all those little gizmos, like the wind-up crank and being able to look out onto the walkway with the turbines and all that shit. And then if you went to the right, there was that big map of Washington State that was painted. It was a really cool painting, and it had little light bulbs on it, and every town had a little button. You could push the button, and it would light up. Oh, there's Eniat, where I was from.
And it's just like this giant wall kind of hung at a 45 degree. And it's topical. Yeah, so it's like topical. So right, so
everything just looked awesome, like the fucking
so cool
60s. But when you turned around, there were all those paintings of like Native American chiefs and notable indigenous peoples of the area. And I've always wanted to do a story in the Comet about who it seemed like those were painted by the same artist, maybe a couple of different artists. They were very similar styles, portraits of these old chiefs. And again, not all chiefs, but notable indigenous folks. And I thought that would be a cool article, but I could never get anyone to answer my emails. They're all kind of just electricians out there.
Well, one of my favorite things out there was actually the hallway painting. There's a hallway painting that stops.
They were sure to keep that.
And it's like it has all the horses and all the Indians riding the horses on this water that's cresting over this rock, kind of like it looks like a giant flood. It's pretty cool.
Well, it's like
do you remember?
It's like a river waterfall, like a mad river waterfall rushing over, and and like the horses are.
But it's ginormous.
Are part of the water.
It's like 20 feet tall.
It's amazing because that's such a huge image in all of our heads that used to go out there. This is the place that we would go tour almost every year as part of some school or another. But that image of the horses, of water, it's illustrating the horsepower of hydroelectric power from this powerful river. But there's a scene in one of the Lord of the Rings movies where
the first one.
It's literally horses coming. I remember seeing that. I was like, holy shit, it's that fucking mural I've been seeing my entire life come to life. It was a thrilling moment. But yeah, they definitely kept that. They kept some stuff. I haven't gone through. It'll be maybe we should take Sarah's kids out there sometime and just walk around and see what's changed and what. Maybe I can find some information about those paintings.
Fuck, you take me out. I'd act like a kid.
Yeah, let's go.
Run around the campground. The reason why I say we fucked ourselves on there too, because we did. Apparently, what I was always told, and I'm taking it to heart, that it was when that dam finished. The PUD promised everybody in Douglas and Chelan County free power. And once that happened, they reneged on it, and then so I mean we should have been like there is a city called Electric City in Washington that the power is free.
Yeah.
But it was supposed to be, the entire Douglas and Chelan County, which is, the main majority of, I guess, central Washington, of free power, but they never did. And God, there's so much money if you look at the cash crop.
Well, one of the people,
all that power,
yeah,
and Alcoa was born out of it, and that's the major aluminum for the entire world.
Everything.
And what would happen, and this is what happened to Alcoa, people that are unaware, that don't live in the Washington state. What happened is that Alcoa made more money by selling the power to California than to heating up the crucibles at the plant that they had here in Washington. And so it seemed like every other year they would close one down and then close one down. And to the point they actually laid off and closed down the whole plant. And they were just selling the power that they usually use to melt down aluminum to California.
Yeah.
Because they always had the outage, the summer outages. You could never turn on an air conditioner in California without, popping breakers.
My grandpa worked down in the boiler, not the boiler room, but the pot room. The room where they're literally melting. It's
so hot,
like hell. He said that
you can't go in there with a lighter in your pocket. You'll die.
They had to wear long johns under their clothes so that they would sweat, and then that would give them an extra layer from the heat. But he said that there would be days where it would be like 95 degrees outside, and when they walked from the pot rooms to outside into that summer heat, they would get chills because it was so much colder. I was like, Jesus, that paints a picture. But there's a lot of interesting stories concerning the dam. Not the one we're talking about is Rocky Reach. It's right outside Wenatchee, but upriver quite a bit is the infamous Grand Coulee Dam, and that was a big debate in a lot of ways, not just from whitey versus indigenous cultures, but changing. And a lot of people fought against the idea of electricity. They thought it, like a lot of things, they thought it was of the devil and was going to lead to, Armageddon. And you can't necessarily argue with where electricity has taken us, but you can't look at just the bad. You got to look at everything. But
it's not only the electricity though, too. It's the agricultural, because we use a lot of that water, to basically
created a lake,
water all the crops and all the orchards that Washington was known for apples, stuff like that.
But
so,
Rufus Woods, who started the Wenatchee World, was a big purveyor of this idea of public power. It's like running it as a business versus running it as more along the lines of government. And that was something that a lot of people argued about too. But the Bonneville Power Administration, who built Grand Coulee Dam and a lot of these other dams in Washington State, were looking for a way to convince everyday people about, like turning them on to the idea of public power and about building this dam. And it's not scary. It's going to be the way of the future. And one of the many ways they did that was they hired Woody Guthrie, famed folk singer Woody Guthrie, to actually come up to Washington State. And he was here for about a month. Or maybe 14 days. There's that book. I interviewed Greg Vandy about this for the Comet. He did I think it was 13 songs in 30 days or something like that. And one of those was Roll On Columbia, which is probably the most famous, or Pastures of Plenty. That came out of those writing sessions too. But I'm a huge Woody Guthrie fan, and the thought of him back in the day, at the prime of his life, really, being driven around by this guy whose name was Ed. I can't remember Ed's last name, but he was hired by the BPA to drive around world famous at that time, Woody Guthrie, to take in the scenery and be inspired to write some of his famous ballads. And those are all the Columbia River ballads. But one interesting story that Ed, the driver, talked about was somewhere along that line, in the back seat, he said he heard Woody working on a new song. He hadn't quite found his way to it, and it wasn't included in one of the Columbia River songs. But later on, he fleshed it out, and that little tune was "This Land Is Your Land." So Woody at least partially wrote "This Land Is Your Land" up here, while being driven around in Washington State to be inspired by what equates to government propaganda. And he was a communist at that time, or at least what he thought was communism. And a lot of these people that were drawn toward communism in the Great Depression eras, like anything looked better than the fucking Great Depression, and they weren't necessarily active party members but they identified as such, and that was very controversial back then. So fucking wacky ass story. We told it over 5 pages in a issue of the Comet a couple years back.
Well, what about Johnny Appleseed? Was he a communist?
I think Johnny Appleseed was a socialist. I mean, if you really think about it, he really wanted to spread his seed.
What about the man from Nantucket?
Spread his seed. Well, yeah, I think you know about him, Chris. But what about the guy going to Cancun?
Mm-hmm.
Well, speaking of coon, I have
what a transition.
Oh no.
I have another tragic chicken tale, although this one is not involving a raccoon. I just thought I couldn't possibly not try that transition. It kind of worked, but yeah, so the chicken story kind of bummed everybody out. If you want to skip it, you can move to about 25, 26 minute mark. It's not that terrible, but it did kind of bum everybody out. You've been warned. No, I am down to one now. So I was sitting at the bar the other day working on my fucking laptop. I had really just kind of set up shop, and I just ordered a big beer, took a few sips, and my neighbor called me. I looked down at my phone, and my neighbor never calls. They'll text every now and again when they'll say we're having a loud party or whatever. Let us know if anybody parks in your shit. Just like neighborly stuff, and it's very rare, but it's always been text. They've never called. So I knew, and I was hanging out with a couple friends, and I had to just stop, and I was like, my neighbors are calling, and something's wrong. And it was the younger kid that lives there. I mean, he's like in his 20s, I think. And he's like, hey, there's a dog in your yard, and it's attacking your chickens. And I'm like, oh, God damn it. Because I've been letting them kind of be loose just in my yard for a few hours. And I knew that I was playing loosey-goosey with it, but, they've kind of stopped. They've mostly stopped laying. They're old. They've seen a lot in their day. I just can't coop them up all the time, and it was staying lighter, and there are all the dogs around to keep other things out. It's really at night that you have to watch them especially close, but really they're vulnerable 24/7, and I'm like, fuck, well, there goes my chickens. And I'm like, is there any way you can jump the fence and, like, kick the dog in the head, try to get the chicken out? And he's like, well, right then he said that the dog was carrying away one of my chickens into the orchard.
Fucking hell.
And he said it's gone. He's like, I tried to see which way it was running, but he made it sound like both chickens gotten like one, like he'd gone after one, and then that one wasn't moving, and then he gone after the other one. That's the one he carried away. I'm like, well, I don't have chickens anymore because I was already down to 2. But I'm sitting there like, well, that's a sad drive home, but it's like, I don't feel like I can just sit here. So I just left. I told the bartender, like, they know me down there, of course. I'm like, I'll square this up tomorrow or whenever. I got to go. Put my laptop in the bag, cruised home as fast as I could, it was the longest fucking drive. It was just one of those things where every red light, you know how that goes. So I'm just expecting to get home and see carnage all over the yard and just bury 2 more chickens. And so I didn't see anything when I got home. It was pretty dark, but I walked up to the pen where they coop themselves up, and I lifted the lid, and old Blue was in there, and she seemed fine. She just kind of like looked up at me, was like, fuck you doing? And I'm like, oh, shit, okay, well, I have one. So I latched that door and walked over to the orchard, and I'm just... it's not a huge orchard, but it's a good chunk of trees and quite a few houses on the other side, and it's dark. And the kid that called me came over, and he was trying to point me out which way he thought the dog went. And so I just started kind of blindly walking, like literally blind, because it was, if it's dark outside in the open, it's real dark under the canopy of an orchard. I get about halfway through the orchard, and I hear screaming, which sounded like a baby crying. And I'm like, that can't be my chicken, right? And I just kind of stood there listening to it echoing through the dark night. And so I make my way toward it, and sure enough, just barely through the darkness, I could see the kid said it was a big white dog. I could see the big white mass that was this dog and a little shadowy thing laying next to it. And so I jump over the fence to some fucking stranger's house, kick the dog away from my chicken, scoop up the chicken, who at the time was actually still alive.
Man, this is awful, dude.
She was deeply fucking injured. And like that scream that I heard almost all the way back across the orchard to my house was my fucking chicken getting like slowly pulled apart by this dog. I should put a content warning before I go into the story. And so I scooped the chicken up and I'm like, fuck, well, she's probably not going to make it. She wasn't bleeding that much, but I could tell that she was fucked up. And I walked around the gate to the front door and pounded on the door, and two young women answer, and she's like, I'm so sorry, sir, I didn't know what to do. And I'm like, well, could you have maybe gone out there and tried to take the fucking chicken out of the dog's mouth when you heard it screaming bloody murder? And she's like, we didn't hear it screaming, we thought it was already dead, we didn't know what we could do. It's like, okay, well, let's say that it was already dead. You're still just gonna let your dog just eat your neighbor's chicken out, you like chew on it? Like they didn't do anything. And so she starts crying, and like I can tell she was bothered by it, but I couldn't make sense of why. Like, I'm telling you, I heard that poor thing crying across the fucking orchard. It's like there's no way they couldn't. It's not like they were having a fucking techno dance party in there. It was a quiet, even they had a little TV on in the background, and she starts crying, and she's like, is there anything I can do? I was like, well, what can you fucking do? It was like, I'm going to go take my chicken back home and try to mend it and see what happens. And 2 days later, she died.
Fuck, man, that sucks.
I will tell you this. I'm so glad that I raced home because at least, it was traumatic. At least I was able to get that poor bird back home. I lifted the little pen up and just like gently dropped her in with her buddy, and it was so fucking sad. She just like fell like face first into her buddy, and it was just like, it was awful. And just like cuddled up and just buried her head in her buddy. And
probably just
the only good thing is that's how that bird got to die, was being at home cuddling her buddy instead of on the other side of the orchard being slowly pulled apart by a very fucking cute and sweet dog. But here's how big of a sucker I am about animals, though. So the dog had gotten into a little bag of garbage that I had set out on my stoop to be taken down to the bigger dumpster by the road. Hadn't taken it down yet, and it had eaten, there was like a half pecan pie in there, and it had eaten the whole thing. The pecans are toxic to dogs. So I'm like, I should probably just go over there and let them know that their fucking murderous dog might actually die. So I went over there and told them, like, look, I don't know what's going to happen with my chicken, but I don't want your dog to die. So give it a spoonful of peroxide. I don't know if you know this trick, but if you give your dog, if you think your dog has consumed something toxic or poison, if you give it a little bit of peroxide, and it throws up immediately. And he was a big dog, so he could probably do like a whole teaspoon or something like that. But before you do this trick, look it up online to get the right dosage, because you don't want to overdo it. But it's an amazing trick. They throw up immediately. I had to do it with Ripley once when she ate a bunch of grapes, which I don't know. Some people say are toxic, and we've had dogs our whole lives and they ate grapes, so you never know.
Grapes, onions, chocolate, those are the big ones that they say. But can we just talk about like how people that have dogs need to not let them outside off leash unsupervised unless they have a completely contained fucking fence going on with their yard?
Different rant.
That's just being a fucking good dog owner, you know?
Well, that's just being a responsible person. Yeah.
Here's the thing.
I mean, fucking seriously.
I have dogs. Sure. I have a dog now, but they have gotten out from time to time. It happens. They bolt. Sometimes you think you've latched the leash. You hadn't latched the leash. So they take off. It happens. I get it. I've never seen this dog before in my life. So it probably was this freak thing.
You're going to be actively going after them, right? Not just dog's gone, I guess I'll just let it go eat some chickens.
And then when it comes back, and I don't want to harp on the most disturbing part of it, but there's no way they couldn't have fucking heard that. They knew that, so their dog must have come back like at the front porch or something, then they let it in, because they had a big fence. They let it back in the fence, and they would have seen the chicken at that point. And it's just so strange to me that they didn't try to interact even if they did think it was dead. It's like, oh, well, it's dead. Just go gnaw on it in the yard. Very fucking strange. Anyway.
Ignorance is bliss.
Yeah, maybe I shouldn't have even shared that story, but because it is a bummer. But now I have one fucking chicken left, and you better believe that chicken is getting spoiled. I am watching it like a hawk. I guess that's not the best.
It's
the
weird
last thing to give them.
I don't want to sound like a fucking hippie, but it's weird when you come awake of animals in general on how much of emotions that they have.
Mm-hmm.
I never really knew it
suffering.
until Max, my dog. You know, I had him for 15 years, and yeah, he showed emotion all the time. And I realized even with my fish, I have pet fish, dude. I have Oscars and another breed of a fish that are completely different. And they'll actually when I had those small Oscars, would act like adults to them, like nurture them when they were little. It was the oddest thing that you'd see.
Yeah.
You'd see the little Oscar, swimming around, and then this big giant fish would just kind of cuddle up right to the next to the side of him and protect him, because I have a really big Picossus. It's huge. All the ladies say
we know how big your Picossus is.
And so that Picossus just rules that tank, and it'll run around and it'll bully some of the fish.
Yeah.
And these bigger fish would actually protect these little fish.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's another fish story I wanted to
tender.
tell, but I didn't, just to make Chris kind of curl his toes a little bit. But there was a diver that used to dive, and it was a YouTube thing. He was a diver, and he would dive down into this lake every day. And he was like, I don't know, like a magnet fish or something. Maybe he was looking for gold or something, like that.
Lake gold, my favorite kind.
Well, this fish would fucking recognize him, and he'd fuck with him. He'd sit there and poke his head. He would like run into his head, just like, hey buddy, what's up, And they became buddies. After like 6-month period, this fish would literally come from the other side of the lake or the other side of the river, and would partner with this diver. They were buddies.
Weird? Doesn't that feel wrong?
It's kind of cool.
No,
it's kind of a trip.
I don't like that.
You don't want your best friend to be a fish?
No, I don't even want no.
What if your best friend was a fish, but then it ended up being like a really sexy mermaid?
I'm still going with no.
Oh, we had this conversation before. I forgot.
Many times, yeah. Would you? The one would you conversation.
Do you even eat fish, Chris? Anyone eat fish?
No.
Do you?
I will have a delicious California roll occasionally.
Yeah. I fish and I hardly eat fish. I typically fish and I give my fish away.
I've been on a sardine kick of late, not because I love sardines.
What's wrong with you?
I need the omega-3s. I need the natural.
You need therapy.
Look, it's not the most enjoyable thing to eat, but it is kind of a fun. Like, it's an interesting time in the world of sardines because we have a lot of
jerky.
The sardines are making a comeback. What's going on?
They actually are. Like yeah,
jerky.
Sardines are very hip right now.
Salty.
You have all these little cottage industries popping up, like these super mon pa companies, and a lot of them are using like famous artists to design these super cool cans. It is very hipstery. But these are more like $8 to $10 or even $15 tins. I'm not interested in the cheap stuff. I couldn't eat the cheap stuff anyway because a lot of that stuff has soy.
That's right. You have to get like the stuff fresh from Norway's Bay of Pigs or whatever they call it.
That's Cuba.
I can't eat them either because it's just salty. I can't have that much salt.
But they are the ones that I do like are the brislings that are caught off the coast of Norway.
You bougie bitch!
It's a sardine capital of the world. But I like. At first, I really liked the ones that were in tomato sauce, and I know that's a weird combo. But what's nice about it is the tomato sauce and the acidity breaks it down, and it just kind of like masks some of the fishiness. But then I started getting into
never even heard of that.
These with you can get them in just about any kind of sauce these days, but the plain old salt and pepper and olive oil are kind of becoming my favorites. But
that's the one I know of.
I can't remember the brand that I'm eating right now. They're right in the middle. They're not expensive. But they're not the cheap ones. They're just like a little more expensive than the Star Kissed or the King Oscars.
buck or two more.
And they're firmer. And at first I wasn't sure I'd like that because sardines are strange because you're eating the whole thing, bones and all. And they're kind of a mushy.
This is wrong.
Yeah,
right.
I bet a lot of people are just skipping this episode. It's like, chicken screaming, bloody murder, and mushy fish
Chicken
talk.
death, sardines.
I'll catch you next time.
Just be glad we're not an SMR channel because then you'd really hate us. You're the 10.
But these are a little firmer, and I kind of like it. And yeah, Lyle's right. Some of these do have almost a jerky, like they're a smoked flavor, and these ones are like that. And they're not terrible. It just, and I'll throw a couple to my cats, and we all need our omega-3. I won't eat a whole tin, but I'll split it with my animals. I'll eat about half of it, and I haven't been hating it as much. So who knows? Between that and I do appreciate this new market for. Look it up. You'll see what I mean. Like, well, I know you won't, Chris, but John Mark, you must like sardines. Yeah, you seem like someone that would.
I've eaten them before, and I have a couple tins on the shelf, but I think I need to revisit. I think I need to revisit my relationship with sardines.
Are you into fish? I know you eat oysters.
Yeah, I eat fish. We eat salmon at least once a week.
Okay.
And I actually eat like poke and sushi all the fucking time. So yeah.
I thought so. Yeah, you should check out some of these other brands because I've ordered some and. I'm not going to spend a ton of money, but I'm like, yeah, it seems like a cool little company. I wish I could think of the one. There's a one that's run by a couple of women, and all of the art on the cans are all like pro-feminist type sentiments, and it's like this super small little fish farm, and they do all their own canning, and there's at least the cool little businesses popping up. But anyway. I won't torture Chris with that anymore. But were you going to say something, Chris?
Yeah, I will. I wanted to bring a story up and see what you guys thought about it. And it's kind of in line with, I think a couple years ago, Ronster, you said, one of these days they're going to change Netflix up where it has ads and stuff.
God, yeah.
And I was like, that'll never fucking happen. And sure enough, we are living in that world now where I can have ads in my everything. And every time it happens, I'm like, fucking Ron was right.
It's in everything.
I can't believe it.
HBO.
I can't believe it.
Yeah.
There's ads in Netflix now?
I think there's a tier, and maybe it was the HBO. I have a friend that has the HBO with the ads, and we will be watching Game of Thrones, and like the most intense moment happens, and it kicks into an ad, and I'm like, oh motherfucker!
It's like, I
haven't lived this life in a long time.
I know. It's like I thought we left this bullshit behind. I don't know if Netflix. I haven't watched Netflix lately, but they. I
think I read they're moving to a plan or like a core plan or something.
Yeah, they announced that they're definitely doing it this year. They're probably doing it now.
Well, in the vein. Go ahead.
It's you pay a couple more bucks and you lose the ads. That's all it is.
I know, but
that across 7 fucking
especially when you got like 4 or 5 of those channels. You pay for a month. It gets expensive.
This is what I was saying just a couple episodes ago. It's like we all were so happy when we got to cut the cable and kick the dish, but now we're fucking inching back up to probably paying more.
We're literally
with some
back
of these subscriptions, and then if you do the bundles like some of the sports stuff, and that alone can be $30 or $40. More than that.
Yeah, you paid for football this year, if I'm not mistaken. I know I played for Fubo and take a mortgage out of my home to pay for that service.
I do Sling, and I'm able to get most of the stuff, but I had to sign up for a free. What is it, Fubo? A free Fubo trial.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's what I was rocking. Yeah. Well, in lines with that, did you guys hear the story about Wendy's and how they're installing all digital menus at all their locations so they could start, and it's not for to look cool, though it will. It's so that they can start doing what Uber's done and have like a, what do they call it? Like a
tiered
time
busy,
when it's busy, like high intensity
busy
time
premium or whatever. Yeah.
Surge pricing.
Thank you, John Mark. And what a nice way to word it, that we're gonna fuck you because the demand is higher. So basically, I mean, I don't do a lot of fast food. I don't do Wendy's very often. Strangely, I had Wendy's tonight. I had the kid and he wanted a Frosty. I was like, fuck it. But
good.
as I understand it, Wendy's is kind of considered to be one of the more expensive fast food restaurants chains.
I think mid tier. They're probably I mean, right there with like McDonald's and stuff, I suppose. McDonald's is really expensive now.
Oh,
I mean, I think like a burger meal, it pretty much any place is going to run you at least $15.
Yeah, they've all gone
fucking
way
crazy.
up. It is crazy.
$8, $10, something around there. Yeah.
In
It's
LA,
nuts how
a
much
Big Mac
the cost
meal
of
is
that.
18. I saw someone
Oh
on
my
TikTok saying.
god. Well, I heard that and I was like, that's so fucked up because it's only going to be like when you're going to get dinner or lunch rush they're going to jack it up. They're never
Right.
going to be like, it's kind of slow. Let's take $1 off that burger.
Right.
Yeah. Wendy's is actually really
Didn't they walk
surprised
that
me.
back?
They reworded it, but it's still going to happen. They talked about how they were going to do it differently, but it was very vague.
They'd be stupid to not try. Well, maybe they wouldn't be stupid to not try it, but they'll try it. Yeah. And if it even remotely works, everyone's doing it.
Work.
Everyone's doing it.
Because we're fucking lazy motherfuckers that can't make their own meals anymore, and there's a lot of people that depend on fast food.
And we just want our favorite fucking foods.
That Wendy's is they've been very impressive over the years, even when they had the one in Wenatchee. Mm-hmm. You would go in line, you would order your food, and when you got your change, they already had your change made up by guessing on if you're going to pay cash or card.
Yeah, that was always
impressive. If you paid cash, they had the change already ready.
Change. Remember change?
It was very intuitive and very fast. You got your shit fast. And,
yeah, I do remember that.
I applauded them for that. I thought that was, and they do it on the east side too. But if you noticed on the window, there's a "Come work for today, get paid tomorrow." They're not really even looking for full-time help. They're just looking for anybody that wants to work for the day.
Oh, well, that's
get
the
paid
fucking
tomorrow.
world we're in. Yeah.
Yeah.
COVID broke us on wanting to go back to. I remember we talked about this during COVID, and people were starting to, I don't know if we were smart enough to foresee it, but other people were commenting on it, and we were discussing whether or not this would be some sort of revolution, because a lot of people are realizing, well, if I can do my job just as well, if not better from home, why do I need to go into the office? And a lot of businesses thought the same thing. It was like, well, if they can work from home, why do we need to pay $5,000 a month for this building when we can just have everyone work from home and save a shit ton of money? And so we saw some of that, but it doesn't seem like the real revolution went that way. The revolution is more the guy that drops my poorly shopped for Fred Meyer delivery off is wearing pajamas, and it's just like we're just like we don't want to go back to having to do stuff. And I get it, I spend most of my day in the pajamas. I don't like it. I don't like working from home, but what am I going to do? Buy a building so I can sit and work all by myself? That's why I go down to the bar so often.
Put a fancy shirt on and go do it. Yeah.
Button it up, huh? Ladies. But, yeah, it's a strange world. And, well, look, how many months did we see signs on doors and, drive-through menus saying, look, sorry, shit's going to be a little funky right now because we can't get people to apply. And they're like McDonald's was doing sign-on bonuses. Remember that shit? I don't know if they're still offering that, but and now the economy is so absurd and inflation is so absurd that it's just a fucking mess, man. I don't know.
Well, the problem with all that is like, Central Washington and then like, the Seattle area and stuff like that. There is a huge difference, dude, in your rent.
There ain't anymore.
Cost of living.
There isn't anymore. It's neck and neck.
I know, but they both faced kind of like accepted it. Mm-hmm. So like in Central Washington, they're like, fuck it. They're getting $15 in Seattle. Might as well give it $15 here. And so everybody goes, let's hike up the fucking let's hike up the fucking rent. You can't, get an apartment around here without spending like $2,000 a month.
Yeah, $2,000 minimum if you want more than one bedroom. I mean, you can find them here and there, but those are scores. The average is, it's a weird fucking time.
Group of people.
It's not a good time for our country right now, in a lot of ways. But before we get off that topic, what's one thing? I know most of us don't really spend a lot of time at fast food, but if there's one thing that you would never want to give up eating fast food wise, what's that meal? Where do you get it?
It's either the Big Mac or the Whopper for me. I like those burgers.
I do too. I'm a simple guy.
Yeah.
I like those burgers. Lyle,
Somebody told me
you?
recently that the
go ahead.
flame broil on the Whopper isn't really a flame broil. It's a fucking like liquid they put on it to make
Liquid
it taste
smoke.
like.
It is.
Oh, and that made me so upset.
They also
I'm thinking about it.
they also pump liquid or some sort of liquid smoke. You know, when you drive by Burger King, you're like, Burger King smell.
Yeah, I love that smell.
I've heard from several sources, although I don't know if I ever confirmed this, but I've heard from several sources that they actually pump an aromatic mixture out into the air, which makes sense because, look, flame broiling makes a lot of smoke, but there's always just like constant smoke coming out. It's like a fucking crematorium when you drive by Burger King.
Yeah.
And hey, they ought to get together and save on rent. But
I'm gonna I don't know. I like my burgers, and I'll get them any way that I can as long as they're tasty. But I have to say that probably like one of my favorite fast food things to get is to go to fucking Taco Bell.
Yep.
Yeah.
And when they had the like the volcano Dorito shells, right?
Yeah.
So you get a
Yeah,
you get a taco with the Dorito flavored shells. I would get at least one of those. So like one of my favorite things to do is I get one or two bean burritos with a side of nacho cheese, maybe 2 sides of nacho cheese.
I'm getting so hungry.
And 3 crunchy tacos and fire sauce. That's my
back
jam.
in the day,
and
that
also,
would have been like $8.
Baja Blast. A Baja
$46
Blast.
right now. Yeah.
I never
A
did.
Baja
I never did
Blast.
have a Baja Blast. That was.
Oh, that's my favorite. I
after
have to
my
have a Baja
time.
Blast with my Taco Bell every
What?
single
Yeah,
time.
What
for
is-
sure.
what
And
is the
3
flavor?
crunchy it's like a lemony, like a limey sort of. I don't know. It's like a limey.
Because it's
like
Mountain Dew. It's
and
a
Sprite had a baby.
okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Sprite or 7-Up with Mountain Dew. Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. Yeah. So and I don't know, dude. People like shit on Taco Bell all the time, but like I don't know.
No,
Dude.
they
It's
usually shit
fucking,
after they have
But-
Taco Bell.
it's fucking tasty. I've
It
never
is some
had
of-
like
it's
I have
crack to
never
me.
had a bad like experience with Taco Bell. The worst experience.
That's a fucking line that nobody has said ever.
Seriously, the worst experience I've ever had with Taco Bell is when they forget my fucking like.
Sounds like a bad experience to me.
Or they don't pack
The-
enough shit in it. That's usually
It's
as
when
bad.
they forget my fucking nacho cheese or whatever. Like I don't get my bean burrito. You know what I mean? Like
Doesn't that make
that's
you
the worst.
rage, especially if it's like after a night of drinking? And
Because you never get extra shit. It's always just take.
yeah, they never
Yeah.
fuck up in your favor.
Right.
That's true of everything. The government,
There's extra taco in here.
your
Never.
bank. Nobody
And the
ever. Your
only time
taxes.
that seemed to happen was like when I was working in Renton. Like this is like 30 years ago. Like, and the closest Taco Bell was like way up the hill. You had to fucking drive like 5 minutes or so to get to the fucking Taco Bell, and you get back to work, and then you're like, oh shit, there's no burrito. And you know what I mean? And it's like, well, you had no choice. You just got to fucking eat shit, literally.
Yeah. There's some things you have to have, like the condiments that make the thing happen. Like Arby's. Arby's has Arby's sauce.
The Arby's sauce.
Yeah.
I like
Horsey
Arby's
sauce.
Yeah, man.
Oh baby.
Man, why am I getting
Mine,
hungry?
I know.
mine used to be the ultimate cheeseburger from Jack in the Box.
Oh, okay.
It would make my mouth water so good. I mean, just that one bite, it was almost like drugs, or
Yeah.
like good sex.
Oh, it is
you
a
know
lot
what I
like
mean?
drugs.
You're like, oh, tingling.
I've always found Jack in the Box to be extra greasy.
That's my problem with it too.
Their
Well,
tacos.
and
certainly
here's
are.
my
Jack in the Box
story.
seems to be extra greasy. I don't know what
And-
the fucking
and-
deal is.
Yeah.
And here's
No,
my
you're right.
story. It was right before COVID. They shut down the drive-through, so I had to walk in and order. So I'm walking in and order. I say, hey, give me 2 of those, ultimate cheeseburgers on the road, and fucking here you go. I'm waiting for him, and I look, and the cook has got my meat in a deep
bet they
fryer
do.
basket, and they were deep frying my fucking burgers. That's why they were so greasy. They were deep frying.
That's the Jack
And
in the
ever
Box
since
secret.
then,
Tracks. Yeah.
Ever since then, I can't eat there anymore.
Mm.
My jam now is I kind of lean towards the chicken, and I like to go to Arby's and get those chicken sliders with
Yeah.
I got the meats.
I
Ooh,
love
with
me
the,
that Arby's roast beef and that sauce. That's a simple flavor, but boy, that's
no,
fucking
it's
tasty.
the buffalo sauce. Oh God, The sliders, you get the chicken sliders, and so you get like chicken sliders. You get a slice of Swiss, and then you, on the other side, I guess you get like that buffalo sauce.
I wonder how
right,
much
guys,
fast food we just sold.
We need to take a 20-30 minute break so we can all fucking go to fucking Arby's or Wendy's.
I bet someone literally just changed their route to go drive through. My my go-to is definitely Taco Bell. It's my favorite was to get a Mexican pizza, 2 Mexi Melts, and a crunchy taco. Had to have at least one crunchy taco.
They got that new flatbread, that 3-cheese chicken flatbread. Oh.
You know, I tried almost all of their new fandangled things, and I was like, yeah, that's fine. And I loved their bean and cheese burritos, but I was like, yeah, that'll do if someone doesn't want theirs, and I'll eat it. But if I had $5-6 back in the 90s, Ronster was going to Taco Bell, even if I had to take a cab.
Let me ask you.
From the Taco Bell was the chili cheese burrito, which they basically discontinued everywhere. Like I used to be able to find it like at a store or two here and there, and I was like, yeah, lucky me. And now they're all gone.
Those were fat.
It's like 10 menu items in different, same exact ingredients in different shapes. You know what I mean?
You can make it by yourself.
Here's the real question, though. Did you guys ever go to the Taco Bell breakfast?
You know, they don't have it here. You have to go to the before.
I don't think I did.
That was before.
So I went when they first started doing it, and it was fucking vile. It was like they made like a taco shell out of a waffle, and it didn't taste good.
Oh no!
It was just like they tried too hard to be gimmicky with it, and I guess they revamped it, and it's supposed to be pretty good now. Like be a legitimate, like yummy.
Good.
Well, they even kind of made fun of that with what's the guy? The butthole eyes guy.
I remember his name.
Yeah, that was the gimmick. Was he was like, we got too fancy with it, so now we're just doing a regular breakfast. But yeah, I don't know. If of all the places you can go to get breakfast, there was one commercial. I think it was for Taco Bell breakfast, and there was like these little cinnamon dot donut type things, and
they served those at dinner time. Though, and they're fucking great.
Dunking them in the coffee, and it was melting the goo inside. I was like, that kind of looks amazing. And then the hash browns, I think that was for Taco Bell, but maybe it was Burger King. I don't know. I am fucking hungry, and I guarantee you, somebody just rerouted their drive home to Taco Bell. Oh man, if Uber Eats existed back in the day, that's where all of my money would have gone, because I didn't have a license. I wasn't joking when I said sometimes we took. My cousin Bobby and I would sometimes take a taxi to Taco Bell, order it, get dropped back off in my apartment, and
God, man.
Yeah, that was a big.
You know what's funny is recently I've been driving around town, and my radio's kind of got a mind of its own. I just put it on shuffle on my phone, and on my phone has like fucking 100 gigs of music. So I mean, there's any genre I want to listen to, and for some reason lately, it's been playing a lot of Tesla. And a lot of jams that we used to listen to back in the day. Like, remember when we used to cruise with your brother Johnny?
Yeah.
On the Ave?
That was all we did.
That's all we did.
Just drive around and smoke, then eventually end up at Taco Bell.
And Tesla
Poison. It was butt rock centric.
Skid Row, maybe?
That was fun. That felt like it may as well have been like 1977, It was like it was life hadn't changed. I mean, now when you look at from that era to now, our era, the 90s, really didn't look all that different from like what our parents were doing. We were still just cruising around, and nobody really does that now. I mean, there's car culture, but a lot of that has completely changed. Cruising became illegal in Wenatchee for a while because this town became pretty nuts. It was bananas.
On the weekends, that's all there was to do. So people would just hop in their cars and go cruising. Yeah.
It was fun. It was stupid
fun.
Fill
up parking lots.
Occasionally get in a fight and go. We were too young to drink. We didn't go to bars, so we'd just smoke a bowl and drive around, smoke 1,000 cigarettes.
I saw those videos once. It was incredible.
Oh, dude, it was so retro 80s, dude, that we would have not all of us, but some of us had CB radios, and we would play like cat and mouse and through Wenatchee.
That was funny, man.
Like Breaker 1,
we did a whole show.
There's some videos of Apple Blossom from the 80s.
Yeah, that's what Chris
floating around that actually have a bunch of people that I know in them.
Yeah,
just like
and it looks like a movie of people trying too hard to look like quintessential butt rock
It's like heavy metal parking lot.
It looks like a joke, but that's what it was. It was even in sleepy little Wenatchee.
You guys want to take a quick break and jump into some weird trivia?
Sure. I have a game for us to play next week on the next episode, which we'll be recording soon. So, yeah, let's 2 and 2.
Everybody head to Taco Bell and come back.
Just a sec, guys. I got to do a kid thing real fast.
Okay.
Man from Florida.
Dun, 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 dun,
Poop things.
Where shit in nature.
A bomb.
Don't get me started on reconstituted onions.
Onions. It's weird trivia.
I'm going to have to put a couple of content warnings. 1, you might want to skip over the super depressing chicken story. 2, you're going to want to have food ready. And that'll be a weird content warning.
I saw reconstituted onions open for Ween in 96.
Man, did you see
right
that?
In front of Dick's parking lot.
Did you see that Ween were doing their big anniversary tour and they had to bow out because Diener's having some issues?
Oh, no. What's going on with Diener?
I don't know. He said that for his health and for his mental well-being, he just can't be on tour right now. So, I don't know.
Yeah, that's too bad.
Good on him for doing it. That's got to be a hard fucking decision when you have pre-sold 50 fucking shows across the country.
The Psychedelic Porn Crumpets were on their European tour. They'd done 3 shows, and their singer, and I think he's singer, guitar player, or something like that. He got bit by a dog, like on his face.
Mm.
So I'm guessing, like, because when he was, like, the Instagram post I saw, it didn't look like his face was that fucked up. So it must have been someone's like little like lap dog that just like nipped him or something, you know, when he was saying hello or something like that.
Yeah.
But he got like an infection in his jaw that like infected like his whole jaw. So he was like, I guess he didn't really realize like what had happened. So he was like trying to sing and stuff, and he was like, no, that you got to go to the hospital. And they had to like suck all the fucking infection out of his. He had to have surgery and shit. But I guess he's okay. But
I got bit by a dog a couple weeks ago. It was a friend's dog, and this dog has not liked me in the past. It's bitten a few people, and I ran into some friends out walking, and it just lunged at me and bit me with my hand in my fucking pocket. Thank Christ my hand was in my pocket, because it hurt so fucking bad. I was in agony for like 3 days.
Holy shit.
And I'm like, if that motherfucker gave me nerve damage, because Ripley bit me once when she was a puppy, and I still have weirdness in that hand, but it's sore, but I don't notice anything crazy. It's been 2 weeks at this point, but
well, yeah,
it's like a bowl mix of some sort, and they were just
at this point.
Well, fortunately, it didn't break the skin. If it had broken, like if my hand was outside my pocket, it would have been a trip to the ER, because it hurt that bad through a wool coat. That's the fucking kind of, and it was a big dog. It's like a bowl.
I wanted to bring up, we have a mutual friend, apparently, that was, he got an infection in his foot, and went to the doctor and whatnot, and he developed sepsis, and the sepsis went up his leg, and the doctors are amputating his leg.
Yeah, today.
And
I think that surgery happened today.
He's the son of the owner of the Clearwater saloon back in the day, when we used to always hang out. The Clearwater down there.
Yeah, I just saw that post this morning. I was like, holy shit. He went in for like exhaustion or something, and while he was there, like there was a blister that developed on his foot. Holy fuck. From that, it developed sepsis, and they cut his fucking leg off like just below the knee.
Yeah. So
in like 2 days that happened.
The GoFundMe is just to basically pay for, obviously the surgery, but for
to get a
prosthetic.
He's gonna need. Jesus
Once
Christ.
again, U.S. healthcare system in action.
Oh, right. It's so sad.
It's a disaster. GoFundMe, the GoFundMe healthcare plan, which won't play nicely with your insurance, by the way, as Lau can attest.
No, I can't find it. I mean, I'm on it, but
we're not going to cover you, and you can't fucking get any help.
You
from
can't
anybody
get
else
coverage from
we won't
anybody
cover
else.
you even more.
Yeah.
God.
All right, let's move on to some fun because this has been kind of a frustrating in a lot of ways episode.
Sorry about that.
No.
It's super dark.
It's just
super fucking dark round of trip. I'm like,
Well, you're talking about dog bites.
It'd be okay.
It just popped in my head.
Yeah, no, there's nothing to apologize. Just this is the stories we have of the past few fucking
no,
weeks.
it's not. I think it's actually pretty good.
It's been a grim. It's been a grimmin'.
All right, you guys ready for this?
I
mean, I wasn't even trying for that, but I'm here for it.
Felt right.
It's Weird Trivia with Christopher F. Hart, a man from Florida who thinks square shit in nature. Don't get you started on the goddamn brown Harry. It's Weird Trivia that might get Christopher fired.
This episode of Weird Triv is sponsored by my hatred for daylight savings time. Fuck you.
Yes.
Oh, it is. I was wondering why my car was off. I was like,
I'm pretty indifferent about it. I
Only for 3 days now, Lyle.
I hate it.
Comes up every year. I
Wow.
find it kind of interesting.
No.
And now that most of the clocks that I use change themselves, that's what I hated. I really only have a couple clocks I have to manually set. Everything else is on it.
Don't you have like a bedtime or like a wake up time?
No, I don't.
Okay.
And that is fair to bring up. The Ronster runs on his own schedule, which is 15-hour days, but that could start at noon. Yeah.
Oh, there's no questioning how hard you work. I know that.
He wakes up as soon as somebody wants out of the kennel. It's like, okay, I'll let you out.
Gotta let so-and-so go play.
But it is a very fair point because to me, it's like, well, whatever, But yeah.
Well, it's important to have that internal clock, dude.
Getting a kid down, up to bed, and up, and it's just like,
I can only imagine.
Fuck me. All right, guys.
Mine's pretty spent on dialysis. I have to wake up at like 4:30 to get there at 6.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm there till noon. But those are the only time I have, and I pretend it's work. Dialysis is my job.
It is. It's literally life work. All right, what do you got, Chris? Give us the darkest, most depressing.
It's not bad. No, I was just going over. It's pretty light. It's pretty light, actually. Okay. Question 1. Saudi Arabia was excited to show off its first ever robot with AI at a technology convention it hosted recently. Now, the robot, which was made to look like a Saudi Arabian man, fully dressed as a normal person there, was on display for all to see over the weekend. However, during a live broadcast with a reporter, the robot did this. Robot with AI. Did it A. Began verbally sharing its company's secrets, including their profit and loss margins, which it did not have access to.
Oh, I don't like that.
B. Told the reporter how depressing he thought humanity was.
Closer to AI, yeah.
Not be depressed.
The paranoid android.
Was it C. Burst into flames while repeating the phrase, help me, help me, help me.
Oh, Jesus. Well, that would be rough after the fucking news of a couple weeks ago. You guys see the fucking self-emulation video?
Yeah. I didn't see the video.
Christ,
is there a video?
Man.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah, he filmed it.
Rough.
Live streamed it.
Wow.
Anyway.
Or was it D. Quietly leaned over and grabbed the female reporter's ass.
Okay.
Again,
He's getting closer and closer to being a human.
Yep, I've learned.
I've learned by watching you, all right?
Saudi Arabia was hosting a technology convention, and a company was showing off their first ever robot with AI for Saudi Arabia. And one of these things happened. Began sharing its company secrets, including profits and loss margins. Told the reporter how depressing he thought the humanity was in general. C. Burst into flames, saying, help me, help me, help me. Or D. Quietly leaned over and grabbed the female reporter's ass.
Man. Well,
Monster.
Those are all worrisome in their own way, aren't they? I've got everything but B. Remind me B.
Told the reporter how depressing humanity was.
Okay. I hope it's that one. But because if AI, what we are calling AI right now, of course, is not truly AI. But if AI gets to be truly AI, I would want it to feel like, man, we could be doing better. You'd want it to be bummed out, not like, I've got this, bitch, hold my digital beer and get all take over him. But I'm not that optimistic, and I think the spookiest one might be that he somehow got access to company secrets that he wasn't coded into, if you will. So I'm gonna go with Dave.
Okay. All right. John Mark.
I'm thinking that the AI robot would do like the lowest common denominator and grab the female reporter's ass.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm going to try this. I'm not sure if it's
whole
going to
other
work,
type of
but
commentary.
put a little bit of that on it, and a little bit of this. Hello, Earthlings. I'd like to say.
Why is AI an alien?
Yeah, no shit. Alien.
There we go.
I am an alien, and I would like to tell you that you are all depressing. I would like to die myself.
Oh, that checks. That checks.
You are all terrible people. Thank you.
I love it.
Thank you.
I hope that robot
Thank you.
answers
Drive
everyone. One of these for you.
Yeah, well, I kind of fucked it up. It was only supposed to be a robot thing, but then I had to put a synth in it.
Yeah, it worked pretty well.
Okay. As I was writing this, I realized sometimes I give you guys answers where like, well, any of these would really be applicable to the question, but there was one specific one that we're referencing in this story. So I read these over. I was like, damn, these are all pretty good. Not bad, Hart. But I kind of had that moment where I was like, yeah, some of these may be a contributing factor to the question as well.
Could all be right.
Anyways. Yeah, exactly. A recent study came out that showed that people are much more likely to donate money to charity if they, A, got a good night's sleep the previous night,
That's good.
B, are listening to music while they make their decision on whether or not they're going to donate.
That's good too.
I wonder if that works with like sperm. You donate your sperm at the sperm
You know
bank.
what?
You hear a little bit of music.
I've been thinking about donating.
I think I filled the cup. I think I filled the cup.
Oh, shit.
Let's make an appointment.
Is it C, they're much more likely to donate if they are peer pressured? Or is it D,
Okay.
they're much more likely to donate to charity if they think they're going to get some kind of recognition for the donation?
Oh, that's embarrassing, but
Likes.
well,
Likes
these
and
all
likes.
feel like they could be true. That is
exactly.
that is the game.
There's a study that says specifically one of these things has a high contribution to this number.
Okay.
Again, someone's much more likely to donate to charity if A, they get a good night's sleep the previous night, B, they're listening to music, C, they are peer pressured, or D, they think they're going to get some kind of recognition for the donation. Monster.
Peer pressure one's interesting because I wouldn't consider this peer pressure, but you know how when it could be at the grocery store, the hardware store, anywhere, they'll
like to
say, "Would you like
donate
to
$1?"
add or round up?" I don't give enough charity. I don't do nearly enough charitable works. I don't even talk to my mom as much as I should. But my one little rule is, no matter how broke I am, if they ask me to round up or give $1, I always say yes. Like every single. Obviously, if it was something political and stupid, it'd be like, "Oh, go fuck yourself." But it never is. It's always something that I can get behind. But the peer pressure part of that, that is kind of a peer pressure. You're on the spot. Would you like to be a good human? No. I'm going to go to Taco Bell after this, and that buck could go toward half another bean burrito.
That's 2 tacos in 1995.
So I
Yeah,
could
buck's
kind
gonna
of
get you
see
along
that
with it.
as a bit of a peer pressure, but it's also reminding me. It's like, yeah, it's convenient. It's right there. So that could be another type of peer pressure where it's like, hey, we're going to go do this thing. You want to be a part of it? I get behind a lot of that. So I'm going to go with that.
Fresh.
Even though that's kind of a weird way to answer it, I suppose. But
Okay. John Mark.
I'm going with the get recognition.
yeah, that's a really good one.
Recognize I'm
Sad
good.
one.
Yeah. Look at me doing good charitable works, everybody.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the day of social networking and stuff like that, people seeing everything you do, that's 100%.
Yeah.
I would like to
Even
say
GoFundMes
that there are
you can post.
different. Well, there are different types of peer pressure too. I mean, if you look at like, like the Lost Boys, and
Come on,
Kiefer
Michael.
Sutherland. Come on, Michael, eat the rice, Michael. And he would never have done it unless he, if he knew it was maggots.
Jump from the bridge in the fog.
Exactly. Jump, Michael. Come on, be one of us.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's peer. I guess that could be a good peer pressure because you're being turned into a vampire. But I digress. I digress a little. My true answer though
Hope you might.
would be the same as John Mark's. It's I think recognition. I used to always donate every year, but I donate to charity that streamers did. Like on Twitch.
Mm-hmm.
And because typically it was supposed to be like a tax write-off, but I'm in a tax bracket where it doesn't count, no matter what I do, unless I only fall on those donations. They keep a little partial out of my tax return before anyway,
Mm-hmm.
that, I don't know, I think it was like $8,000 of, leeway they give you for like charity for church and
it's got to be a nonprofit,
like
bona fide nonprofit to be, and a lot of people don't know that, and a lot of places will try to trick you.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll flat out lie and they'll say it's a tax deductible donation,
Right
and
off,
it's
and
absolutely not.
yeah, you gotta really know that,
or just know that it's going where. To me, it's like I did my good deed. I'm not. It's not like I was taken. I rounded up to or I paid $1, and then it's like, what'd you do with that? That's on them. And I think that a lot of people sometimes use that to, whether it's like giving $5 to someone who's sleeping on the street, or it's like whatever they do with it, that's beyond them. But I had it. They needed it. Whatever they do, fuck it.
Mm-hmm. Well, these were like child hospitals and stuff like that, like children's hospitals and stuff.
Yeah, that's where it gets really
we used to do.
pissed.
This is the stuff we used to do, but
like
it's all supposed to be tax deductible, but it wasn't.
Should
just because of my tax bracket. But you feel good. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Even when people go, "Hey, dude, you're that guy," that donated $1,000. Fucking good on you.
You're that guy that gave me a whole fucking $1. Celebrate yourself, Ron. Well, in terms of like the recognition thing, a lot of places have caught on to that. That's why if you put into this nonprofit organization that wants to build a new hospital wing or whatever, you could get your name stamped on a brick. Or, Albertsons, or maybe it was Safeway, one of these grocery stores used to do like, I don't know if it was March of Dimes or something that happened in March. And it would be, you'd get your name written on a shamrock and taped up on the wall with 2,000 other people. It's like, so they know that that's a thing, and that's a thing that, well, yeah, that'll make me feel even better, even if it's not necessarily an egotistical thing. It's some tangible representation, even though printing out and taping that thing up on the wall might have cost about as much money as you donated at the roundup donation. But yeah, I think you guys might be right, but I'm going to stick with my answer here.
All right. Question 3. This American actor was offered the role of James Bond in the 80s, but turned it down. That's where we got Timothy Dalton instead.
I love these questions.
Who? Me fucking too. I got one for next week as well. They're so fun to write, and they're effortless, and they're shit. It's shit I'm interested in. Mm-hmm. Who turned down James Bond in the 80s? Who did we almost have like a string of Bond movies from? Was it Harrison Ford?
Oh, damn. Well, I don't know if you'd make a good James.
It's funny. This was an American actor, so these are all Americans.
James Bond.
Typically, James Bond is played by a British man, right? Like yeah. Well, I mean, Sean Connery wasn't British. So
you're right. It's the sanction of the team. What's the team name?
But to dumb Americans, Sean Connery was British.
Well, no. Well, I'm talking about like we have our own Secret Service. They have their own. What's
MI5.
MI5. Yeah. MI6.
MI6?
MI6, and we have
is that MI6?
CIA. It's MI6. Yeah.
Okay.
MI5,
MI4.
Obviously was
MI4, in A.
MI5
it was the 80s.
Isn't MI5 the actual real?
Let the fools think that we've advanced.
MI6 is the one from the movies or whatever.
I don't know. Well, let's look at. I have to fucking find out now.
It's MI6.
British.
I think it's all MI6.
It is
right?
MI6.
Yeah.
Wait, what's the difference between MI5 and MI6? MI5 focuses their efforts within the UK, and MI6 focuses on gathering intelligence outside of the UK.
There you go. They're both real. Yay!
I thought John Mark was just being
Thames River, motherfucker. Okay, this actor was offered the role of James Bond. Harrison Ford, Mel Gibson, Johnny Depp or Richard Gere?
In the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Richard
Gere, huh? Well,
almost got a few Bond movies out of this guy.
Bond
with Dalton instead.
James
Harrison Ford, Mel Gibson, Depp or
James
Gere?
Bond. I'm a secret. Yeah, I mean, I'm a secret agent. I'm trying to do Harrison Ford.
Harrison Ford.
It's just like completely blasé. I guess.
Oh, we named the dog Indy.
I guess.
Shaken, not stirred.
I like my drink a little bit shaken and not
Well, that's an
stirred.
interesting one because he would later work with the original James Bond. The next one was
Gibson. Mel Gibson.
Gibson.
Raj, I hate this, Raj. Why we gotta do this, Raj?
Where are you getting that? You're doing Jack Benny.
No, that's Mel Gibson on Lethal Weapon.
When he's
to his buddy.
Okay.
When he's on
Okay. Well, I feel like Mel Gibson
would you
always
like a fry?
played
Would you like a fry?
borderline crazy people, and you couldn't be a crazy James Bond. Like
well,
in
would
the
it be
80s,
good?
Mad Max,
Be good to watch.
Lethal Weapon. What else? I feel like he had more movies in the 90s that I could name than the 80s. That'd be a good round of elimination, actually.
No.
I'm sorry, I keep forgetting that.
Johnny Depp
and Richard Gere.
Johnny Depp, I feel like would be way too young. Richard Gere is really an interesting choice. I'm gonna go with Richard Gere.
Gere's pretty sophisticated.
That's exactly my thought. He's distinguished, debonair. He always seemed to look a little older than he was, not in a bad way.
Sure.
No, he could young himself up pretty easy.
And by
dyeing his hair.
any time in the 80s, Harrison Ford was Han Solo, to the point where he hated it. It was like, oh, I can
with the
also
role.
do Mosquito Coast, and well, either that or Harrison Ford. But two super iconic roles would be hard. It was hard to see him in any other roles for a while. I think it was The Fugitive the first time I saw
he was
him.
on Solo and Indy, right?
Well, yeah. Well, isn't that what I just said? Or maybe I said
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I'm gonna go with what did I go? Yeah, Richard Gere.
Okay.
But I do
I don't
like
know
the idea of a very blasé, like I don't know, somebody secret
There's
agent.
spy shit going on over here.
Do you have any good questions? Or
Okay, John Mark.
interviewing him would be a
Didn't
fucking
you
nightmare.
say that all these actors were American?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, Mel Gibson's Australian, isn't he?
Ooh, that's a good call, John Mark. Glad I didn't chase
We
the
got
Aussie
one
herring.
elimination.
Is that
I think we do
Is that-
kind of
is that-
consider him American.
I don't know. Richard Gere.
Would you like a fry? Raj,
Richard Gere.
would you like a fry? Raj.
Oh,
He's American in all the movies.
You know,
Well, except for Braveheart. And the original.
you know, in the 80s, there's a mad, in the 80s, people would get away with fucking murder when it comes to roles. You know what I mean?
And
They would
blackface.
hire just the worstest decision, but it would stick, and we all enjoyed it.
We were presented with
saying
what we were
that-
presented with.
I'm saying that is because there's an actor there that pretty much started in the 80s. He had a little show called 21 Jump Street, where he was a cop,
Heard of it.
and you're supposed to, and he's a cop in high school
Mhm.
at like 35.
Yeah.
But it's funny because it was so outlandish, but it worked. And then before that, I think he did the Friday the 13th. So he was just an upcoming
Nightmare
actor,
on
which
Elm Street.
everybody loved. And I think with a little bit of swallowing, it's just kind of like Tom Cruise, man.
Just need a little
Just
bit
like
of
Tom
swallowing.
Cruise. He's a handsome man, man. He could
Well, they could
he
have
could
done
roam around in society.
They could have done like a
and
younger
Bridges.
James Bond.
I think
They could have rebooted it. I mean, by the 80s, James Bond was a 20-year-old fucking franchise.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So they
And
could
he was
have
just
tried to
up and
reboot
coming.
it as like young 007.
Like
Yeah.
just like Young Frankenstein. No, just not like that.
They did a young indie as a TV
Yeah.
show.
Oh yeah.
show.
Oh, that was so horrible. I hated that.
Yeah. I don't think I ever saw it.
Oh, it was horrible. Made you just
The best young indie was River Phoenix, who played young indie at the beginning of The Last Crusade, right?
Yeah, man. Right before he died, wasn't it, too?
R.I.P. River Phoenix.
Few 3 or 4 years before he died, I think. He died in the 90s, I believe.
Well, it was the Shia LaBeouf, too, that kind of screwed up that whole role, too.
Did any of you see the most... Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Lau.
Johnny Depp is who I'm going with, if you guys haven't figured
Did any of you see the most recent Indiana?
No, it's on my list. I want to see it.
Yeah, I watched it.
How was it compared to the fourth installment?
Oh, it was way better.
Okay.
Oh, good.
I've heard that.
Yeah, no, it was way better. It was still like, you have to turn your brain off a little bit.
It's never going to be what we want it to be or what it was, but
it was actually pretty enjoyable. I have to say, it was actually pretty good. The youngification of Harrison Ford in that movie was pretty decent.
Love it. Like hearing that.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it's worth a watch.
Was Shia in that
I love Harrison Ford.
No, there was no LaBeef in that movie.
Okay.
So.
LaBouche.
Yeah.
Then I have less LaBeef with it already.
But there was the return
Shia, but I
of,
just didn't like his character.
What's her name?
Kate
Marion?
Capshaw?
Yeah, Marion.
Yeah, Marion.
Oh, Marion. Okay.
Yeah, she's in it. Yeah.
Well, she looked
pretty good too, from what I saw. I was like, damn.
She was in the fourth one. Wasn't she the Crystal Skulls?
Was she? I don't remember.
I think I tried to forget that movie.
I'm pretty sure
I've only
she was.
seen it once, and I want to see it again just to refresh.
No, don't do
I
it.
hate it.
No.
Don't do it. Just watch the latest one and be like, oh yeah, this is pretty decent. There's some wacky shit that happened, but it's like, whatever. Yeah. It's an Indiana Jones movie, so what the fuck?
I wanted to see that in the movie theater, and they pulled it the week right when I was going to go watch it. They pulled it, and I was like, no. So you could still rent it, I guess, on some certain apps.
Sure.
All right, question 4. Senator Elizabeth Warren was on John Favreau's podcast recently when he asked her a tough question. Not quite as tough as which direction do you wipe, but a pretty tough question nonetheless.
Or less unexpected.
Front to back, sir.
Didn't know Favs had a podcast.
He asked her who her dream blunt rotation would be, or basically who you would want to share a joint with.
Okay.
She answered this question enthusiastically, and this was her person of choice. Was it A, The Rock? Was it B, George Lucas?
Smell what The Rock is smoking. Sorry.
Hopefully it's not A Rock. Is it B, George Lucas?
Oh, could you imagine getting stoned with George Lucas? Hey, can you pull out your puppets? Let's play with your puppets.
Oh my God.
Okay, we know you still got them, George. Where's the fucking puppets?
Right.
Just make with the Yoda.
Shit. Could you imagine? Yeah, you guys remember the picture, like the photo with him, with all the models and shit. Like, can we go to that room? Let's just look at all your life's fucking work. God, so cool.
Dream to be at Skywalker Ranch. We all should take a vacation to Skywalker Ranch one day, right? Before we die.
That'd be amazing. Is it C, Barry Manilow?
Andy.
Who is he asking this to?
Senator Elizabeth Warren.
I don't know much about Elizabeth Warren. Other than the
Elizabeth Warren it sounds like the chick from that haunted house, the ghost hunters, Warrens, the Warrens. You know what I'm talking about?
This will be a total fucking guess.
Well, you know what The Conjuring is? The movie, The Conjuring, with fucking the nun and shit.
Yeah.
Well, there was the Warrens that were the ones that were trying to get the demons, out of the children.
This is the least helpful analyles I've heard so far.
I know.
Yeah. Sorry,
I haven't got through all the answers yet.
Oh, and deep. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
He went to the afterlife.
Was it C? Was it C, Barry Manilow? Or was it D, the late, great Paul Rubens? Again, who was on the only person on Elizabeth Warren's dream blunt rotation list? The Rock, George Lucas, Barry Manilow, or the late, great Paul Rubens? Ronster.
What a weird fucking list, man. The Rock is so unappealing that I'm...
Yeah,
I'm tempted to choose that one.
There's a bizarre whole. That's really strange to me.
You're welcome.
But I would say the same
Thanks,
about
Chris.
Barry Manilow in terms of like. But I'm trying to think of somebody I know. who Elizabeth Warren is. I'm trying to think of somebody.
Well, I don't remember Barry Manilow being a huge fucking marijuana fucking advocate. You know.
Well, this is a fantasy. I mean,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
none of these people necessarily smoke pot, but it's like, who would you want to get drunk with? Who would you want to hang out with? You know, it's just that kind of question. Like, specifically, who would you want to puff pass to?
Who would you want to pass the duchy from? Come on.
Duchy come from the
Pass
left hand
duchy
side.
to the left-hand side.
They're all
Well, on
lefties.
that note, I think I'm going with George. I think it's wrong, but well, Pee-wee's interesting.
Pee-wee.
Although that might be kind of controversial. Didn't you say Paul Rubens as one of the?
I did. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's like Pee-wee.
I think that might be
Oh, fuck you.
controversial because Pee-wee was a bit of a controversial
That'd be
fig.
funny.
Have you guys watched The Bear by any chance? His son's in it, and I can't stop. He looks just like
No,
him.
but one of the actors in
I
that
watched
just did stand up and went at you. It was great.
I watched the first episode and I fucking could not finish it, but I hear it's
a really good show. Yeah, you would like
I'm gonna
it, John.
try. I'm gonna try at some point, but it's just like that first episode. I was just like, this is just anxiety inducing, and like
Oh
none
wait,
of these
am I
people are
thinking
like,
of the right? Is it
I
the,
don't like
the
anything
cooking
about
show,
this.
the
Everyone sucks.
chef show?
Like I don't.
Yeah.
Am I thinking of the right show? The chef show, the
Yeah.
restaurant show. Okay, yeah.
I will try.
I haven't seen it, but
at some point.
I'm gonna go.
You'd like it.
I think I'm just
Very
gonna
good.
stick with George Lucas. It's probably something stupid like The Rock. I don't hate Barry Manilow, but I wouldn't want to get stoned with. Well, maybe I would want to get stoned with old Bart.
What do you got so baked with George Lucas?
Just start serenading you. You start harmonizing with Barry Manilow.
We write the songs that I just made better by harmonizing with your old man voice. I guess I can only answer for myself because I really don't know anything about Elizabeth Warren. But it's probably something. It's probably one of the lamer options, which would be A or D. But I'm going to stick with old Georgie. That's a great answer.
Who can really know anything about Elizabeth Warren? To be honest with you.
Yeah, or any of these fucking politicians.
Yeah, fair.
Is it my turn?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
I'm going with Paul Rubens
I like it.
because I'd want to pass the duchy from Paul Rubens.
I would
wouldn't that
be-
be fucking amazing.
I'd be impressed
Paul Rubens, left hand side.
if we had a sitting senator that said she wants to get stoned with Pee-wee. You know, the dude that got caught whacking it. And,
He had, you know what? But I think that happened so long ago, and he kind of just owned it. That I think the public mostly forgave him for that.
Oh, in the movie
yeah,
theater?
but you know how
Yeah,
people are
that's
with
so
the
long ago.
politics.
He had a glowing send off when he passed. Like the internet revered him. Like I just don't think it was an issue any longer. But yeah, it's funny.
Yeah,
we all
yeah,
know about
yeah,
it.
I think you're right. On the whole,
And
it's
honestly,
not,
like, isn't that what those theaters are for? I mean,
Yeah,
come on.
like-
well, that's what everyone
Oh
agrees.
my god, you were watching a porno and you jerk off.
I remember-
Pulled your wiener out.
it's
I
possible.
remember even back in the day we were saying this. I was like, well, okay. It was because he had a children's show. But anyone that knew anything about Paul Rubens either knew him from Cheech and Chong or his early stand-up shit, which was Pee-wee Herman. It was anything but children safe. Like, you can look this shit up on YouTube. A lot of people still don't know. Pee-wee Herman started as an adults only sort of a prop comedian, sketch comedian, almost like Carrot Top, but much much better, of course.
So, what if George, you're sitting with George and he goes, "Hey man, watch this," and he pulls out like a little puppet of like E.T. and he's got like the weed, and he like I don't know, sucked off the back of its head, and it was a big bong. You're like, E.T. Mono,
Smoke home.
home. Oh man, how much fun would that be?
I would like it.
Pretty fun,
That would be so
I would
much
like it
fun.
if George said, "Hey, you want to smoke some green?" You're like, "Yeah, man." Pulls out Yoda's head, picks a little piece off of the
water
fucking
bomb.
actual puppet.
Honestly,
He's been smoking Yoda's head slowly over the last 30 years. It's fucking
I can
priceless.
honestly see Lucas as being someone who dabbles from time to time.
Partakes.
Was
Oh,
George
you could
Lucas
tell.
involved with E.T., by the way?
Well, he was
More
part of it.
Spielberg, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was
Well, it's
definitely a
probably both,
Spielberg
isn't
movie.
it?
I don't know if he was involved with the... Could have been a Lucas.
I know.
They were jerking
know
each
that-
other off all throughout those movies.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
they do get confusing.
I'm pretty sure. I'm not going to go with that though. I think it would be freaking hilarious
watch
to
George
freaking
and
smoke
Steve
weed
fuck.
with Pee Wee Herman. Are you kidding me, dude? What is the secret word for the fucking today? Weed.
Oh,
It would be hilarious.
good little Pee Wee voice.
Dude, there's nothing better than to be
That's a
really
very hard
stoned
voice
and
to
just
do.
laugh your ass off.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of people. I mean, dude, even I did it a long time ago in the '90s and the '80s and stuff. I smoked weed to be kind of like more inspired to make music, to write music.
Yeah, that
All right.
bodes well for Barry Manilow.
Well, it's a big difference between, you know, cracking your ass off with a bunch of friends, you know, laughing until you're crying versus, you know, just using it as, you know, an instrument for, you know, music. So there's two ways to use, I guess.
Sure.
But, I guess.
All right, where are we at here, Chris?
I was just tabulating the winners here, and I have a link to send you guys because I have the video of the robot.
I can tell you that I don't feel strong.
Robot.
This was I think this was like 100% guessing.
Well, let's see here because it's an interesting turnout. I'll tell you that. Yeah.
Right,
Okay. Saudi Arabia was excited to host its first ever robot with an AI at a technology convention it had recently. Excuse me. The robot, during an interview with a reporter, did this. Ronster, I'm going to send this over to the Facebook chat. Go ahead and just narrate what you see. It's pretty great.
Here. Well, that is a lot of links.
This works. It's a long ass link. I don't know why.
Okay, do I hit play here?
Yeah.
Twitter videos. Oh, oops.
Oh, I don't have Twitter. Fuck.
Sorry, man. It's a Twitter video.
Oh, well. Life goes on. I guess I could read the link. it's a fucking long. Torch female reporter during live interview.
Spoiler alert.
Oh,
spoils.
I think I might know what it is if I missed it because.
Can you not see the video? Yeah.
Oh, touches. Sorry. Torches.
Well,
yeah, torches, touches, it's the same thing.
For some reason,
You know?
he leaned over and touched her ass. And then kind of gave this look to everybody. Like, see what I just did?
She's like, excuse me, sir.
Oh, wow. That was. I got to see it again.
Is it subtle, at least? Is it like a.
No, man. It's not subtle.
No, ain't no one missing it. It's the look that he kind of gives the crowd after he's just like, yeah, I just touched that bitch's ass. Well, that is kind of the darkest of. In many ways of the answers. Yeah. He's like, I learned by watching the best. I'm a real boy.
Why am I laughing? Okay. John Mark got that correct for a point. In the lead already here. Striking first, striking hard, no mercy. But in a recent study that came out, it said that people are much more likely to donate money to a charity if they got a good night's sleep the previous night. Isn't that funny? Makes sense.
That's a good answer.
Yeah, nobody got that one.
We are all better people when we get more sleep.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think I need more
Except
sleep.
serial killers. They just have more energy for killing.
This American actor, yes, John Mark caught me in my guff. I as I was reading that, I was like, fuck, Mel Gibson's not American.
Mel Gibson's not American.
So I might.
Not Mel Gibson. Well done, John Mark, you son of a bitch.
You snuffed the guft.
This American or non-American actor was offered the role of James Bond in the 80s but turned it down. We were talking about Mel Gibson. It was Mel Gibson.
Well, that's a wrong answer.
So,
Anyway,
yeah.
Well, none of us went for it, so I guess.
Can you imagine? I would have loved to seen it. I hate the guy, but
it's really hard to separate what we know about him now.
It really is.
But
he was beloved in the 80s. He was definitely beloved. I loved him.
Well, looking at it from the 1980s, absolutely.
Though, I'll tell you what.
Well, we would have watched the shit out of it. I mean, let's all be honest. We would have watched the shit out of that in like 1985.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Mel Gibson was the new James Bond. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
I will still watch Mad Max movies and not feel ashamed at all because
I wonder how hard it is.
Great.
You know, because like our James Bond is pretty light. You know, it's almost kind of comical. Like, you do kind of feel those vibes from like.
I think the newer ones felt pretty hard. They're
weren't
pretty
like
good.
I think they're good.
Yeah,
well, you know
I
what I
watched
mean.
the
But like
in a while.
spin-off of Michael Myers and like Goldmember and stuff like that. They had at heart, basically they were diving into the whole bread and butter of those movies, but just making light of it all.
It was parody, yeah.
It's kind of like, well, yeah, parody. It's kind of like the I want to say the Robin Hood. What was the
Men in Tights,
Men in
or
Tights.
Hot Shots,
or Hot Shots
Mhm.
kind of deal, So it's kind of one of those things. I'm
but you couldn't call the
curious.
Craig. What's his name?
No, I'm curious if he would have took it to a darker side of James Bond. kind of like
with
Lethal
his
Weapon.
performance.
Oh, you mean Mel Gibson?
Yeah, because that would be kind of
They
interesting.
just
to
would have
see,
blown
for
more shit
sure.
up. Let's be honest. I mean,
Oh,
James
there'd
all
be more
depends
guns
on-
and violence. For
James
sure,
Bond
but
had a
I'm
lot
just
of violence,
curious.
but it wasn't like Hollywood violence. It was
Oh man, I hope it would have been during that time where you had that feathered hair. You know what I'm talking about? That
hockey hair.
Dude, I was thinking about bringing the back if it helps
Yeah,
everybody out.
Dude,
May
it
as
does.
well.
It does help us
I've
out.
seen what the
All right,
was rocking.
nobody got that right either. Whiff on that one. Question for Senator
Maybe next
Elizabeth
time
Warren.
make him an American, and we might go.
Fuck
Jason.
off. She was on John Favreau's podcast recently, and he asked her what her dream blunt rotation was. And she kind of hemmed and hawed about it. I don't think she actually smokes pot, and he can. And at one point, she just said The Rock. It's definitely The Rock. It's all four people would be The Rock. That's what she said.
For the people. For the people.
Okay.
For Jonies.
I
Nobody
figured.
We know
nobody
he
got
would
that
say.
right.
Rock would say, I'm going to take that pipe and I'm going to turn it sideways and I'm going to shove it up your candy little ass. If you smell what the Rock's cooking.
I see that The Rock is about to re-enter the
Yeah, he's an owner
Ramblin
now.
arena.
Oh, you guys don't know? What you guys don't know? About the owners and big shit. He
Yeah,
might be
but
going to prison.
it's not. What's his name? It's
Vince McMahon.
Oh, Vince
He's looking
McMahon?
at
Yeah,
federal.
Well, he
well,
like
what-
did awful things.
Oh,
it
I
sounds
thought-
like.
I
Sounds
thought
like
he was
did
already
shit.
in prison.
awful thing.
The meme guy.
He did awful
yeah, he's
things
just a
to
meme
people.
now.
Yeah.
Getting your mind
Yeah,
blown
no shit.
meme.
Well, he was mean. You know what's fucked up is I've been watching wrestling. I've been watching actually the reruns of all the WrestleManias
right,
to
you told us
catch up because WrestleMania's coming up at the end of the month. I want to watch it with my mom, and so I've been watching the old
Sweet.
one just to reenact.
Take phrases almost no one on planet Earth ever says.
Well, there's a big section of my life I quit watching wrestling, so I don't know what went on. So I've been kind of watching it just to kind of catch up on it. And he does pretty despicable shit as it is publicly, openly.
McMahon.
But can we talk about it? Because it's pretty.
Well, we
quick.
got to cut.
I mean,
we can do it. Let's cut Chris loose because he's got to go put the kid to bed, and then.
okay, I guess.
Is that good?
But maybe he wants to hear it. I don't know.
Well,
The
it's up
kid's
to
in
you.
bed. But we are almost
in
at 2
bed?
hours on something we're supposed to try to keep to an hour.
Are we really?
Okay. I'll make it quick too. It's
Yeah,
pretty
we've been
simple.
doing this for almost 2 hours.
He
already.
had an intern, I guess, that he was kind of sexually, advancing towards, and she was, more than one because he's been doing hush money. And this is what got him in the federal prison, is that he was paying out of the WWE money funds to pay off those chicks instead of his own money. So that's what fucked him. That's what he's going to prison for that. What he was doing, I guess, was taking foreign objects, that were shaped and colored different, and he would name them. Like, oh, here comes the Rock. It'd be like a brown, dildo, and sexually, advanced toward, and like here's a white one. Oh, it's Stone Cold, He was doing that to this intern chick, and she's filing charges. But there's other wrestlers that were involved with it too that I think are known now. Like this, Brock Lesnar was one of them. So he's gonna be probably done with MMA fighting for sure, and because they both own each other. KO owns Ultimate Fighting, so they kind of swallowed each other as a business. The WWE and the
That's a rough analogy after the setup here.
So I mean, he's going to be gone for a while. Rock is on the board of directors now of the KO, so he's actually the boss of all the wrestlers.
Huh.
So it's a kind of a crazy time for sure, and I'm not sure how much they're going to probably intervene it to the public on what's going on, with the shows and stuff. But man, it's a multi-million-dollar
They're smart.
setup.
They'll
That's for sure.
Come clean and Me Too his ass and put him in prison and move on.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just one more
that's what's
fucking
probably
industry
gonna happen.
infiltrated by men who are terrible and their
disgusting
positions
pigs,
of power.
man.
The takeaway I'm choosing to walk away with here, Lyle, is that you are going to be watching Razzlemania with your mom, and I think that is one of the
I have
most
to.
wholesome
She's,
evenings I've heard of in a long time.
that was her and my dad's thing, was to watch wrestling and
I
stuff.
didn't know that.
And
That's
since,
sweet.
she's by herself now. It's one of those things that, she can never really afford to buy the pay-per-views.
Yeah.
So when there's a pay-per-view, I just invite her over. I say,
Wow.
come on over,
That's
get
awesome.
it, and we'll watch
I love
it.
that.
And
I love it, man.
I'll
That's
give you a
fucking
ride
great.
home, and it's all good.
Mhm.
So, gotta
Well,
take care of moms, man.
On that sweet note, shall we get on out of
Yeah.
here?
We shall. Congratulations, John Mark, on your one question right victory.
Yeah, boy, what a round.
Did we ever finish the
What-
whole quiz?
What and round.
Yeah, we did. Everyone whiffed on every other question.
That's amazing. Hasn't happened in a while.
No.
All right, y'all. Well, thanks for tuning in. And tune in next week. We'll be talking about 9/11 and having some other kinds of fun. So see you then.
See ya.
All right.
I am an alien, and I would like to tell you that you are all depressing.